Cole, welcome to Provost Profiles.
It's a pleasure being here.
I'm thrilled to be here today. Tell me, where are we?
So we are in the Science Engineering Research Center, also known as CERC. That is a part of the University of Houston Sequencing Corps, where I've worked since the summer before freshman year of college.
So what is a sequencing lab? Tell me that.
So labs typically conduct academic research, whereas a core functions a little bit more like a business. We provide sequencing to other people. So it could be hospitals, academic institutions, people within UH or even this building. The sequencing core here is very unique, whereas we also do academic research because it's primarily ran by our graduate students and undergraduate students, which they obviously need to do research in order to get their PhD.
So what is the most interesting thing you've sequenced?
There was a project where we sequenced around 128 human brain samples, and I think that was within my first week of starting here, so it was quite the introduction. But I think I was really interested in that just because, one, you have to manually work with them with your hands, and then it's a really involved process, and the results look really nice.
How did you get interested in this line of research?
So the origins are definitely a little bit silly. So when I was raised, I was really grown up with superhero movies. My favorite movie was X-Men First Class. The idea of X-Men is that these mutants gain their powers through genetic mutations, and that whole premise was always super interesting to me, so I was really interested in genetics. When I was driven to the University of Houston, genetics led me down the path of cancer, because the bare bones of cancer is it's driven by genetic mutations. And so I kind of went along that route, and it was very rewarding. Of course, now my focus isn't on how mutations can lead to superpowers, but now it's looking at how mutation can cause cancer and how we can use those mutations to actually combat cancer.
You've earned a whole series of honors.
Thank you very much for that.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
I will say the one I'm most proud of, I definitely think, is the Goldwater Scholarship. So I won that last year as a sophomore, and the focus of the Goldwater Scholarship is to provide financial assistance to students who are interested in STEM careers. Mm-hmm. And the whole goal is that financial assistance allows students to focus more on research, whereas they might have spent that time previously working a job in order to afford college. So having the financial assistance from Goldwater is extremely useful to continue doing research, because while my research here is funded, my research, say at MD Anderson or other institutions, there are often unfunded opportunities. So in order to do that, you really have to love the work you do, and I just fortunately do. Another major award I would say that has won was the Phi Beta Kappa Key into Public Service Scholarship. And the main focus on that is to provide students interested in careers in public service with a roadmap and the resources and network necessary to pursue that career successfully. And so that involved me going to DC for around 5 days last summer. And I learned a lot about how science policy works on the federal and local levels and how that can integrate in my future career.
So tell me about that future career. What's next after what you're doing right now here at UH?
The goal is to apply for an MD PhD, which is a very long training process. It's I think over 12 years of training after undergraduate. It's really exciting to me because it allows me to combine two of my biggest interests, which is of course the clinical side of science, but also research. I really do love research. It's what drives me and gets me out of bed every day. What I think is really nice about having both that dual degree is that it not only trains you in how to think like a scientist, but also a clinician. For many people, the way that they're interacting with science on a semi-daily basis is typically through their doctor. The benefit of that is you're able to correct misinformation, you're able to make sure that they have all the details necessary for them to make decisions on their healthcare plan with full confidence.
One of the things we often talk about in the academic space is that students don't just learn particular knowledge while they're here, mm-hmm. but there's some skills that are really important for later life. We sometimes call them transferable skills, soft skills, or now durable skills. Can you tell me what kinds of skills like that you think you've learned during your experience here at the University of Houston, and maybe specifically working in this lab?
One of the most important skills that I've learned that are more of the soft skill would definitely be communication. I think it's really important to be able to communicate these pretty complex ideologies in relatively simplistic terms. If the work you're doing isn't actually being understood by the populations you're trying to help, then the research isn't as impactful or helpful as it's being set out to be.
You're clearly a great communicator, so no issue.
Thank you.
There. No issue there. All right, your turn.
Okay, so...
And if I don't like the question, I won't answer.
You're good. You recently made a huge discovery in Belize, mm-hmm. and I just wanted to ask you kind of your emotional response of what it felt like to actually make a discovery like that. I hope to make a big discovery in myself in the future, so wanted to know what to look forward to.
Yeah, thank you for that question. That particular find was pretty exciting for a whole series of reasons. We find tombs, we excavate buildings, find caches, but this is the first time we found a burial that we could identify with someone that was named in the hieroglyphic text. So it was just a special thrill to know that we knew who the person was that we were really rediscovering, that he had a name. We knew when he ruled at Caracol. So it was really, really, really special experience.
I know, it's quite the split that you have. No one would imagine a provost to also be doing archaeology work in Belize on the free time.
I think it's important for the provost also. I'm the chief academic officer.
Definitely.
And if I don't do research, then how can I expect the faculty to do the same?
No, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for the conversation today. I read about your accomplishments, but it's really great to talk to you in person. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I really am looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Of course. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here.
Thank you.